Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be going over my May reads and then choosing my June TBR. So May was a pretty great reading month, even though I only picked 6 books to be on my TBR. I ended up reading all 6 and then some, so we have a lot to go over as far as my wrap up. The first book that I actually finished in May was By a Thread by Lucy Score. I touched on it in my April wrap up because I was basically done with it at that point. I think I had like 100 pages left, but it was just kind of dragging at that point, so I did not finish it actually in the month of April. Finished it in May, but I did end up giving it the rating that I said I gave it in that video, which ended up being kind of funny that I predicted it. So the first book we actually picked up in the month of May was Meet Your Match by Candy Steiner. This is the first book in a standalone interconnected series of hockey romances. This one I rated a 4.5 stars. It's kind of an opposites attract kind of storyline with forced proximity, really great banter, but the thing that kind of fell through in the end for me is the fact that I liked the side characters more than I liked our main 2 characters. We're following Vince and Maven, and Vince is kind of this new up-and-coming hockey star, and Maven is trying to kind of break out in the journalism scene. She would rather be reporting on, you know, something like charities, you know, heroes in her local community, but she ends up taking what she can get, and so she ends up being a sports kind of reporter for a website blog that kind of focuses on, you know, females in different spaces. And so as a female journalist, she covers male sports, which I thought was also a little bit kind of weird, but she is kind of assigned to follow Vince around and kind of basically report on everything that he's doing as, you know, the star rookie for this hockey team. Like I said, I gave it a 4.5 stars just because I felt like the characters themselves were relatable, even if I wasn't, you know, super invested in their actual romance itself. I did still really like them. And like I said, great banter, really great side characters. I'm super excited to continue this series because it ends off really interestingly, following one of the teammates to Vince and how he's going to help Vince's little sister drive across the country. And so I'm super excited to pick up that story next. The next book that I ended up picking up in the month of May is from my TBR. The first one I read from the TBR was Heartstopper, Volume 1. So this one we are following Charlie and Nick. We are following Charlie and Nick, and they are just 2 students who kind of, you know, end up being in the same class together, and that kind of sparks this friendship that potentially could blossom into something more. Charlie is out and open and queer in his school, and he's been bullied for it in the past, and Nick is still kind of discovering himself and who he wants to be. So I thought that was a really interesting storyline. I really enjoyed the characters. Even though it is a graphic novel and those aren't usually my cup of tea, I felt like a lot of the expressions in this book, you can pick up what they're saying without them, you know, having to write it down, which I feel like is a very important aspect of any graphic novel, but this one did it really, really well. Gave this one a 5 stars. The next book that I picked up in the month of May was The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. I ended up rating this one 5 stars as well. Very, very top tier romance for me. Absolutely loved the banter, absolutely loved the forced proximity. It's kind of a rivals to lovers storyline. Our female main character, Olive, is a guest at her sister's wedding, and everyone at the wedding besides her and the best man, who's the brother of the groom, end up getting food poisoning. So they end up going on the honeymoon instead of the bride and groom because the bride and groom are at home sick with food poisoning. And so Olive is thoroughly convinced that her new brother-in-law absolutely hates her, and through this trip they're able to kind of rebuild, reconnect, have their amazing banter, have their little flirty moment, but also realize that they've secretly been like pining for each other this whole time and really wanted the other one to like them, which I thought was super cute. Was very much giving Ali Hazelwood vibes as far as a male main character. Super tall, super broody, just like all of the things that we know Ali Hazelwood puts into a man was in our male main character, which was super amazing. Loved how the story played out. It didn't play out like a traditional romance, and there was lots of elements that, you know, follow along with something as kind of unrealistic as going on your sister's honeymoon. I did also really enjoy some of the elements of, you know, their vacation and the other things they were able to do. I thought that was written really well, because sometimes when a book is set in like a destination place and a vacation-y place, it like feels too much like they're not doing anything, but everything they did was like thought out, written really well. I had a really good time with this. It reminded me a lot of a book I read about 2 years ago now called How to Honeymoon Alone. I will put a picture up on the screen. It's on Kindle Unlimited, but that was one of my favorite books in 2023 when I read it, and this one gives very, very similar vibes. The next book that I ended up picking up in the month of May was also from the TBR, Fearless. Before I tell you how much I rated this, I would like it to be known, I would like the record to state how excited I was for this book, how much I've loved the first 2 books in the Powerless series. I will be honest, Reckless did not need to be there. I stand by that. Reckless was a filler book. That's just, in my opinion, what it is. She's good. She's great. I loved the extra little elements of Kai and Pei that we were able to get in Reckless. But plot-wise, Reckless did nothing for the plot. It didn't need to be there. So in Fearless, we're picking up right where Reckless left off. And I will not spoil that because this is the 3rd book in a trilogy. But I did not know where the story was going. So much of the time, I was so confused. I was like, why are we doing that? What's going on? What purpose does this serve? I did stay up till 3 a.m. to finish this. I will be so transparent. I was hooked. I needed to know where the story was going because I was still so lost. In the very end, the way that everything shakes out, I'm angry. I'm angry. I want to say I'm angry and disappointed. I want to say I feel no, like I'm just really mad that I've invested so much of my personality into loving the series for it to end the way that it did. But I did still give it 5 stars. Maybe I just don't know how to rate a book anymore. Maybe this broke my brain. But something about the way Lauren Roberts writes, something about these characters, like, yeah, I was angry. Yeah, I want to throw this book at a wall multiple times. Like, twists would happen, and I would just be like, that can't be the twist. Like, where's the other twist to fix that twist, to make this twist less twisted and less bad? But no, it's all the twists. That's how it works. That's what it is. Yeah, it took me out a little bit, but I still will recommend the series, even if I hate the ending. I'm glad that it finally did kind of verge away from Red Queen. I know that was the biggest kind of critique happening with the first book in the series, Powerless, how, like, it is literally Red Queen. From what I remember of Red Queen, I was in middle school when I read that book, but from what I remember of the Red Queen series, this strays so far from where Red Queen started that I don't even think we can make that comparison anymore. Like, yeah, the first books might be similar, but I think this fixes that. Maybe? I don't want to say it fixes anything because I hated it. I was so mad. But, like, still, the characters, the writing, this world. Like, I was just so excited to be back in this world. But to kind of overview the whole series without giving any spoilers, so that way you guys know why I'm still even recommending this book, because I should probably tell people not to bother. But I want other people to be as angry as I am. So, in Powerless, we are following Peyton Gray, and she is an ordinary blending into a society where being an ordinary basically is a death sentence. It gets you unalived. And so she is kind of like faking it as a psychic. Her father actually taught her how to interpret behaviors and how to interpret signs and read body language, small clues, things like that. And so she basically learned from her father how to predict things, even though she's not really even predicting anything. But it is able to get her kind of a pass as being one of the like lower level people in this society where you need to have powers to survive. So she runs into one of the princes one day, and he sees that she's kind of a really skilled thief, and she gets recruited for these like trials, games, challenges, whatever you want to call them, that the kingdom kind of throws and hosts. And so she gets kind of pulled into doing all these trials, doing all these tasks, and that's really where things jump off, and that's where things get going. So it is kind of a love triangle-ish with Pei and then the 2 princes of this kingdom. We have Kai, who's the one that, you know, ran into her. He's really the king's enforcer. And then we also have Kit, who is the like first in line prince whenever their father passes away. And so that is kind of where we have our jumping off point, and we just go from there. But yes, yeah, the journey it took me on, I was not expecting, but I loved every second of it until I hated it. I still gave it 5 stars though. Like, I want everyone else to read this book. I was addicted. Again, it made me angry, but it was so well written and in such a good world. Like, I'm just obsessed with the world building of that series. So that's how she got the rating she did. Okay, I'm not going to know what to do with my hands for the next like 3 minutes because the next book I actually read was on my Kindle. I read this one flying back from Florida. The next book that I picked up was The Good Lie by A.R. Torre. I ended up rating this one a 4.25 stars. Honestly, it was short, sweet, really to the point. I believe it's about like 250-ish pages. Don't quote me on that, but it's pretty short, pretty sweet. Read it in like a flight and then like part of the next day because I was really tired when we landed. But overall, it is following a psychologist, I believe is like her technical career. She can't like prescribe you meds, but like she's someone you talk to when you have problems. And she specifies in like more violent tendency customers. Basically, all of her people that she sees, all of her clients have like these violent ideations, but she's never really that worried they're actually going to do anything. Like, as a therapist, you're supposed to tell the police if you think someone's a danger to themselves or others, but like all of her people, she's not really that concerned. Like, they just talk about, oh, I want to kill my sister-in-law, but like, who doesn't say things like that? So this therapist doesn't really think anything of it until one of her clients passes away. And the way that he passed away was very interesting because his wife also passed away in their home at the same time. The wife passed away from a supposed heart attack, which ran in her family, and the man died with a knife to the gut. So that's kind of where we're jumping off. She's very confused how that could happen. She goes to the funeral, and from there she runs into a lawyer who is going to be representing a man who is being tried as the like local serial killer who has been like abducting, torturing, and then murdering young teen boys. And so that's kind of their dynamic. They both knew the guy who passed away, but our therapist, psychiatrist friend did not tell Mr. Attorney, hey, that was my client. Like, I was his therapist. She's trying to keep that on the down low. She doesn't want people to know how well she really knew him. So there was that. I really liked it. I do think that there was one really great twist and then one like meh twist. Like, it was good, but I saw it coming. And if you've read it, you know which twist. Not really a twist. Like, just, I could see it. The other twist was great. Came out of left field completely. Was a great twist. So that was The Good Lie by A.R. Torre. Like I said, I gave it a 4.25 stars. After doing a thriller, I was feeling romance again, so I picked up First Time Caller by B.K. Borison, also from our TBR. Ended up rating this one 5 stars. So this one is like a Sleepless in Seattle retelling, I guess, but like, I don't actually like the movie Sleepless in Seattle, so I don't like that comparison because this one was so much better than Sleepless in Seattle. Like, yeah, it follows like a radio show, so I guess there's that kind of common connection. Lucy is a single mom looking for love, and Aiden is the host of the radio show, and he's like a little bit more skeptical about love. He's like a little bit too much of a realist for me, but I really enjoyed it. I thought their dynamic was super fun and super interesting. It is like a dual narration, so you're getting Lucy's lines in Lucy's person and Aiden's lines in Aiden's person, and I thought that that was done really, really well. Oh, another thing that this book did really well that I don't want to forget to mention is it had the who did this to you trope, but done in like a contemporary setting, which usually if it's like a mafia thing kind of makes sense, but the rest of the time for contemporary romance, it doesn't make any sense. This one did it really well, and it was super cute, and I absolutely adored it. The next book that I ended up picking up was also from our TBR, and so I picked up 1985 by George Orwell. So this one I ended up rating 5 stars. I enjoyed it a lot, but I'm going to be completely honest. I did the audio while I was reading. I did immersive reading like I usually do. I rewound a lot reading this. Like, I understand when people are like, I don't do old school books. I don't do the classics. I don't do, like, whatever genre you think is too difficult to comprehend because you're going to have to reread a ton. I feel that argument. That is super valid. Like, I did have to reread a couple of, especially like once we get toward the end, our main character gets a book and he's reading the book, so you're reading a book in a book. That was difficult. That I could barely follow. But this is a more dystopian novel. I believe it's originally published in like the 40s, about where the author George Orwell thought that the world would go in like 40 years time. In his time, that would have been, in 1984. It's a very good book with an interesting take on kind of the power dynamic and the forces that are kind of in control in society. So it explores kind of loss of freedom, it explores manipulation and truth, weaponizing of language and surveillance with the government. I will admit that I can understand why some people don't like the idea of this being just readily available on the shelves, but I also think those people are wrong. I also think something like this needs to be taught in school to give kids that like critical level of thinking where they do question things. We are following our main character Winston, who works for basically the like department of people who change what is written down, so the government's always right. So his whole job is he gets these little slips of paper that tell him, hey, in the newspaper last week we said there were this many boots being made, change it to this many because this is how many we actually made, and we want to make it seem like we were better than we were, but we actually did a lot less. And so he basically has to change history a little bit to make it fit the way things actually shook out. And in this world, they're working on coming up with a like different language, so that way like there are fewer words, and they act like that's going to mean more things, but it actually means they would know less. And like their whole goal is to make everyone so like poor, so worried about like small little things like razors. They're having like a razor shortage, so everyone's been talking about razors. So they're too busy focusing on how am I going to get my next razor so I can shave my face, instead of focusing on, wait, the government lied. They took away our chocolate rations or something like that. And so I think that this is a super important book that everyone needs to read, especially in a time like now where we have to worry about things like censorship, like things getting changed, all of that fun stuff. The next book that I ended up picking up was another one on my Kindle. I needed something lighter and fluffier, and again short after the kind of like big brain energy that was 1984. So the next book that I picked up was The Rival. It is by Kendall Ryan, and it's the sequel to The Rebel, which is a book that I read last year. It's a hockey romance. And so this story is a like continuation kind of the first one, but it follows new characters. So it's that kind of interconnected standalone thing again. But you have to know who the people in The Rebel are to truly understand kind of what's going on with The Rival. So in The Rebel, we're following Eden, and Eden is taking over her grandfather's hockey team. Her grandfather owned a hockey team, and she has dedicated the past couple years of her life to her boyfriend, who is a hockey player, to helping his career. And so when her grandfather passes away, she inherits this hockey team, and he ends up getting, drafted to the hockey team that her grandfather owned. So she's like, oh great, this is perfect. Well, they end up breaking up. So she has to deal with the kind of close proximity to her ex, while also being a young female owner of a sports team. And so she ends up having a relationship with her bodyguard and like the chief of security for the stadium. And so that's Eden's love story. But you have to kind of know what's going on with her boyfriend for The Rival. So in The Rival, we are following Eden's ex-boyfriend, Alex, and he decides that after his, really rough season, he has a terrible first season with this team, being under the management of his ex-girlfriend. And so he decides that he's going to cabin sit for one of his friends who is on the team and from Canada. This teammate can't make it back to his cabin over the summer. So Alex decides, hey man, like you're looking for someone to do some work around your cabin, watch out for it over the summer. I'll head out to the cabin and I'll go ahead and, figure it out, and I'll man everything for you. Well, then he learns that Eden's assistant, Aspen, just went through a super brutal breakup and doesn't have a home anymore because her boyfriend kicked her out. So that's when he's like, oh, okay, actually Aspen should watch your cabin. You should have Aspen do everything for your cabin. She can go out, take care of it, watch it, all this stuff. But then he realizes like, oh, there's some like manual labor. There's some things that Aspen is going to need help with. So we'll both just hang out at your cabin. And so it's a little bit of forced proximity, a little bit of rivals to lovers almost, because Aspen, having worked so close to Eden over the past season, has heard things about Alex, which is why I'm like, this is one interconnected standalone that you kind of need to have read that part at least in order, because we've already established scenes between Eden and Aspen where Eden kind of divulges what Alex has done in the past, and Eden has given Alex like the reasons why their relationship isn't working. So Alex has decided to kind of work on those aspects of his personality with his relationship with Aspen. And you can see it a lot more clearly knowing what those problems had been. And it makes a lot more sense having read them in like the corrected order. So I ended up giving The Rival 4.25 stars. The only thing that I did not love is that it was marketed as a slow burn. They got together by 50%. It was marketed as Grumpy Sunshine, which I guess it kind of was. But because Aspen is going through such a hard time, she's having a hard time seeing the good in a lot of things. And Alex has to kind of be the sunshine one, where at the beginning of the book, he's portrayed as the grumpy one. And like once Aspen kind of got her groove back, their dynamic flipped again to him being grumpy, her being sunshine. And I just felt like that was a lot to kind of clamor on. I feel like the grumpy sunshine trope just shouldn't have been involved at all, if that makes any sense. And then my only other thing was that I did not love how in the end, like there had to be like a whole scene with Eden involved. And like, I liked Eden as a character. I really enjoyed the first book, but like, couldn't these two have had a relationship and not like asked for mommy's approval? Like I felt like that was just like so unnecessary and so weird. But overall, still loved it. Devoured it, gave it a 4.25 stars. The last book that I picked up in the month of May was 1,000 Pieces of You. If I'm being completely honest, this was one I was looking forward to the least on my TBR, and I should have looked forward to it the most. So I ended up giving it a 4.75 stars, which I know was like super nitpicky, but the main thing that threw me off in the very beginning, and I was still a little bit confused throughout, is we're given on the back of the book that Marguerite Kane is, you know, dealing with the death of her father, and she decides to use the invention that her mom made to skip dimensions to chase after her dad's killer, which, like, that makes sense when you're reading it, you know, on the back, and you don't need a ton of information. But then you get in the book, and she's already made her first switch on, like, the first page. Like, she's already dimension surfing. And so I was like, whoa, 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 what's happening here? Like, I need more information. So it's told in, obviously, like, now timeline where she's, like, doing the dimension surfing. She's going between dimensions and trying to find the guy who killed her dad. But there's also random little flashbacks that aren't even posed as, like, then and now timelines. And they're just, like, large chapter breaks. But that is when a lot of the things that happened before the dimension switching starts happening. That's when she kind of goes into like, oh, this is what mom and dad were working on. This is how my relationship with the killer was. This is like what this was like. And like that's when she kind of goes into more of a like past timeline where we learn more about Marguerite as our main character and like the dynamics of the characters. And I think that was the only critique that I had, was that I would rather have had like 3 or 4 chapters in the, like not even 3 or 4, like maybe just 2, maybe just like a quick 25 pages of like explaining what's happening before we jump into, I'm in someone else's life now. Because that was a little bit jarring. Like I think that that was the intended purpose. And also, being completely honest, this is like from 2014, I think. And I have a feeling that back then, like they were going for like edgy, risky, crazy, cool. So that might have been like the goal, but still loved it. Like I said, gave it 4.75 stars. I did end up reading the first half of this book in like a literal sitting. So like beware that this is super gripping. It's super interesting. Like I said, you get in and she's already switched universes. And so she like knows that there's like things that are different in the universe she's like in from the one she's from. And that was super interesting to me to see all these like small little changes, because some of them were super minor and some of them were like not that big of a deal at all. And then other ones were like super major and like drastic changes from the world that Marguerite came from. So that was super fun. Okay, so those were all the books that I read in May. So let's get the ball rolling on picking our June TBR. That's crazy to think that we're already in June. But let me get the board game. Let me get the dice. We'll get the show on the road. Now we are back with the TBR board game. Got our 2 dice. Bixby hears me talking to the camera again, so he's happy. We are back to our regularly scheduled programming of picking 8 books every month. And since it's Pride Month, I'm hoping to get something LGBTQ. I mean, like, obviously, I'm not going to, like, force it if I can't, but I would really like that. Okay, first one is 3 and 1. 3, 1. Pink cover! I never get pink cover. Oh my god, okay, this is my favorite one. I'm super excited. Let me look at the shelves and see what pink cover options we have. Oh my god, I feel like I have so many options. Okay, so for pink on the cover, I immediately wanted to do a romance because obviously, what else does pink on the cover make you think of? But I found a good variety of books that aren't just stereotypical, regular, everyday, like contemporary romance. So, our first option that I immediately gravitated towards was This Blood That Binds Us. This one is by S.L. Coakley, and it's a vampire romance. I believe the girl is a college student and like is attacked and becomes a vampire. And then she meets another vampire who is trying to kind of like be a good vampire. Like he doesn't want to kill people, he doesn't want to hurt anybody. He just knows that he wants to be like a good person. So there's this one that is such a cute, pretty shade of like pastel-y pink. It just makes me happy. The next one that I grabbed, also not in the romance space, is Murder in the Dressing Room. This one is by Holly Stars, and it is a drag queen like solving mysteries. She solves a murder, I guess. Yeah, I just think this one sounds so fun. If you're anything like me and you're watching RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars 10, put that in the comments because I'm absolutely eating this season up. But this one is our other option for pink on the cover. And then these last 2 are romances that are a little more traditional, turn your brain off, fun, good times. So first we have Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune. I honestly don't know a ton about this one. Let me read the back. Okay, so this is the one that I feel like people don't love. Our main character, Fern, is like a young adult. I think she's 22. Yes, in her early 20s. She spends 24 hours with this man. They really hit it off. They have a great time. And she says, Meet me at the lake. He ends up standing her up and not meeting her at the lake. And then about 10 years later, at 32, she goes back to her hometown to help her family's like restaurant, I believe. Yeah, their lakeside resort. And her ex-boyfriend, who was her boyfriend when she met the guy she wanted to meet at the lake, which is where people have their kind of issues. It's a little bit cheating trope, a little bit questionable relationship wise. But to her surprise, after coming back to her hometown, to her family's resort, the guy that she was supposed to meet at the lake all those years ago is there. So this is an option. I'm not super ecstatic about it. Everyone says it's great. I don't know. It does sound like a good, fun, like beachy, summery read. And then the last one that I picked up actually just has pink writing, which I thought was super fun. I picked this up at my local bookstore about 3 weeks ago for Indie Bookstore Day. I was in to get my stamp, and I saw that they had this book on sale, so I got it for a little bit of a discount, which we always love. And this is Love and Other Conspiracies. I honestly haven't heard anyone talk about this book, but I read the back in the store and it immediately intrigued me. It features obviously a girl and a guy getting together, but the guy has a podcast. And so he is trying to do a like what is it? Web show. Yes. They're doing a web show. I don't know. It sounded fun. It sounded cutesy. Like I said, the pink is only the font on it, but I'm still going to count it. But she's wearing pink hiking boots, and I thought that was also kind of fun. But yeah, those are our options for pink on the cover. If I'm being completely honest, the one that is sticking out the most to me is also the one that I think would be the most appropriate for Pride Month. and that is our drag queen mystery. I'm on like a mystery thriller kick. If you know me in real life, you know that every springish time when the weather starts to get nice, I just immediately binge like mysteries. Like I literally just want like all the creepy vibes of mysteries. I don't know why I pick spring to do that, but this sounds fun and the weather's been really nice and I think this would be a really fun quick read. So I'm gonna go with Murder in the Dressing Room for our first pick, which is exciting. That's our first book. Okay, let's roll the dice again. 2 and 2. I don't think we've ever had one where we had the same number twice, but it's 2 and 2, which is fun. Okay, 2 and 2. A good or fun title. Okay, that's interesting. I'm glad we got this one. I don't think we've ever gotten this prompt before. Let me look at my book titles and see what we've got. Okay, so picking a good, fun title was not as good or fun as I was expecting. I did have a good amount of options, but given with the fact that we went with a mystery thriller for our first round pick, I don't know how this one's going to shake out. So, first one I have is the one that my brain immediately went through when I wrote this prompt. I thought, oh my God, this is like the funniest title ever. Vinyl Resting Place. This one's by Olivia Black, I believe. And it basically is this like tiny little baby mass market paperback about this girl named Junie Jessup and her sisters who put all of their eggs in one basket to open a little sip and spin records down in Texas. So family's everything to them. And what exactly happens? Their uncle, yes, their uncle disappears. And then they have to kind of figure out what's going on, figure out the whodunit. Yeah. So there's this, which now that I've picked a different mystery thriller for the TBR, she's not really fitting in. I don't need a ton. Like, I mean, I probably will read multiple, but I don't need like 10 on the TBR for the whole month. And then the other one that I picked for this fun, like, good title is Serial Killer's Guide to San Francisco. I just thought this one looked super funny and super cute. This one basically follows Capri is her name, and she is the like great grandchild, or no, just regular. She's the granddaughter of a serial killer. So that's kind of funny. The next one that I picked up for this prompt is My Vampire Plus One, which I also think is a cute, fun title. I thought that was good. This one we are following Amelia and a vampire who pops up in My Vampire Roommate. His name is Frederick, I believe. No, Frederick is from My Vampire Roommate. This one's Reginald. Yes. And Reginald goes with Amelia as her date to a wedding. So there's that. And then we also have Can't Spell Treason Without T, which I think is a very close contender for like most fun, like good title. Because like that's just a good title. That's a great title. I should have taken the 50% off sticker off. I'll take the 50% off sticker off later. But yes, Can't Spell Treason Without T. So this one is about Raina and Chianti, I think is how you say that name. They want to open a bookstore that serves tea. And I think that's super cute. Raina works as one of the Queen's private guards, and Chianti is a mage. So leaving their lives isn't easy, but they still do it anyway. So it's like a cozy fantasy. I don't know, this one sounds cute. And then the last one that I picked up is A Demon's Guide to Wooing a Witch. This one is the sequel to what is the first book in the series called? What is the first book in the series? Oh my God. A Witch's Guide to Summoning a Demon. I think that's what the first one is. A Witch's Guide to Summoning a Demon. Yes, so this is the sequel to that one. I should probably go with this one because I don't want to start any more series. But I don't think I'm really feeling it. I know this one's told in third person, and that's the one critique I had of the first book in that series is it threw me off. Let's see. I think this one's also in third person, which is unfortunate. Why is everything told in third person? This one's not a contender. This one's not in third person. I think this one is in third person. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, yeah, it's not. Okay. That's kind of fun. But again, I don't think I'm feeling like super mystery stuff. So that kind of just leaves me with Vampire Plus One, Cancel Treason Without Tea, and A Demon's Guide to Wooing a Witch. Which, if we're going on fun, good title alone, this one's our winner. I guess I'll stick with my own rules and go with Cancel Treason Without Tea. Let's look at the edges. That just made me happy. I love a sprayed edge. I don't care if this is basic. I like a sprayed edge. Okay, let's go with this one. Next roll. 1 and 3. So that's like the reverse of the first one we had. So 1, 3. The title jar again. Okay, that's fun. We did have a pretty good time the last time we got the title jar. So I'm not too scared anymore. But it was the book that I was like, I don't think I'm going to like this. So maybe I should be a little scared. I am back. We have our title jar, and I already forgot what the colors mean. I know pink is romance because duh, that makes sense. I believe green is mystery thriller and blue is fantasy. I think that's what we settled on last time. Either way, I think I'm going to go with a pink one. I think there's also orangish. Yeah, like an orangey red color in here for like spooky Halloweeny time reads, but I'm not really feeling that. So I'm going with pink. How to End a Love Story. How to End a Love Story. I don't remember that one. Oh, is that? I think I know which one that is. Okay, let me go get it. So now we have How to End a Love Story. This one is by Yulin Kwong. I actually don't know what this one's about. I know a ton of people loved it like a year ago when it came out. Let me read the blurb super quick. Interesting. Okay, so in this one, we're basically following Helen and Grant, who 13 years ago experienced a tragedy that kind of binded them together. And now, flash forward from this tragic past, Grant is a screenwriter and Helen is an author. And one of Helen's books gets picked up for a TV show. And Grant is the screenwriter that they end up going with to write this TV show adaptation. So they're kind of forced into a little bit of a forced proximity situation with each other. So interesting. I'm kind of glad that I put this in the title jar because I truly forgot I owned it. Like I said the title like 3 times before it like clicked. Like, oh yeah, that's a book. So I'm excited to have this one on the TBR. Next roll. Hopefully we get something that doesn't equal 4, because out of our 3 prompts, we've gotten 1 and 3, 3 and 1, and 2 and 2. Okay, this one's different. 6 and 3. 6 and 3. Oh, that's from our priority TBR. So let's take a peek at my 25 books to read in 2025 and see which of those sounds the most interesting. I honestly haven't really thought about my 25 books to read in 2025 very much at all. I'm actually reading one right now, As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. Literally started it this morning, but have not gotten anywhere near finishing it. It's a chonker. I think it's like 500 pages. Okay, immediately off the bat, the one that sounds the most intriguing is People Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry, but I've heard that How to End a Love Story and People Meet on Vacation are both very lit fic heavy and they're not very romance. So that's not gonna fly. I could do In My Dreams I Hold a Knife because I have been thinking more mystery thriller, but I'm not convinced that I'm gonna like it. I've already given it a try. I've hit pause on it once. I do also have The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo on here, which is another one that I've heard is very lit fic heavy. But I do also know that one has like a mystery kind of element to it. I don't know. I mean, I feel like People Being on Vacation would fit other prompts in other months. I might want that in like July or August when I'm like just sitting at home and not doing anything else. I could also go with fantasy. I could do An Ember in the Ashes, The Hemlock Queen. Zodiac Academy is also on here. I do need to pick up that series. I don't know. Hmm. Making choices is hard. Um, I'm wondering if maybe I should go with Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Because I don't think that one, first and foremost, I don't think that one's going to fit a ton of other prompts. It's not really that interesting of a title. Like the cover's pretty, it has green on it, but I don't really know when else I would end up going for it besides being like forced to. Do you feel? Okay, yeah, we're going to go with it. So for a book that is on my 25 books to read in 2025, we're going with The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully that is our last like lean into like literary fiction. I feel like we're getting kind of lit fic heavy and I don't love lit fic. 5 and 6. 5, 6. First book we see on Goodreads. That one happens a lot. I feel like we get 5 and 6. First one for Goodreads like a lot. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. So let me get screen record set up. And then we'll load Goodreads. Okay, she's thinking. The last one at the wedding is the first one I see, but I don't own that. Interesting. Meet Me at the Lake. That is literally the second book here. So I guess that's what we're going with. And we have our Goodreads pick, Meet Me at the Lake. Very funny that this was literally a contender for a pink cover. And I was like, no, I'll save it for later this summer. No, God wants me to read this book. So we're doing it. We're listening. Okay. Next one is 4 and 5. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. 4 and 5 gives us a romance. Okay, I like that. I do think I already know which one I want to put on the TBR. I will look at the shelves for a little bit longer just to make sure I'm, open to all of my options. But there is a romance I did really want to pick up this month that I'm hoping will be the best fit for this TBR. But we'll see. I'll take a peek around, see what else I have. Be right back. Okay, so I did pick up the one that was the one I wanted the most because I just knew what I wanted to do, which doesn't happen often. Usually I'm so indecisive. But I really wanted to put pole position on my TBR for this month. So this one I did actually pick up from an indie mobile bookstore in my neck of the woods a couple of weekends ago when I was out with some friends. So this one is a gay F1 romance, which I'm intrigued by because I'm still a little confused about F1. We know I love an F1 romance, but the sport's not really my thing. I know that there's like teams of 2. Are they the same team? Different teams? I don't know. They are teammates. Oh my god, cute. Okay, so this one we're following Kian and Harper. Looks like Kian is the golden boy of motorsport, 4-time champion. And then Harper is the rookie and Kian's new teammate. Okay, yeah, this one looks so cute. Okay, yes, I'm excited. So that one was book number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's book number 6, so we only have 2 more. Oh my god, this TBR is going by really fast. Okay, 6 and 2. All the way over 6 and 2. Young adults, it's YA. Okay. Oh my god, I have so many options for that. I also think I know what I want, which is weird. I don't usually know where I'm going with these TBRs, but this time, I think I do. Wow. Okay. I'll be right back. I double checked myself, and Rebel Witch, the second book in the Crimson Moth duet. I think it's a duology. It is classified under YA. I Googled it, and it says that it's YA. So we're going with Rebel Witch for our, is this our 6th pick? Rebel Witch is our 7th book on the TBR. Okay, that means this is our last one. Oh my god. Okay, this TBR went way too quickly. I feel like I've barely picked any books. I feel like I only got one of the books I was really looking forward to getting on there. Let's hope this last roll is a good one. 1 and 5. 1, 5. I'm never going to ask for anything ever again, because the prompt we got is over 500 pages. So that's going to be a tough one. I don't know a lot of over 500 page books off the top of my head. So I guess I will look around the shelves and see what very, very thick books I can find. Be right back. For a book over 500 pages, I went with Shield of Sparrows. This was one of my highly anticipated reads for this year. I'm very much looking forward to it. I love the Eden series by Devney Perry, and this is the first time I think she's done romantasy. And I also felt like I needed a little bit more like romance and or fantasy on the TBR. It was feeling a little bit too not fantasy romance enough. Okay, so we're going with Shield of Sparrows. It has exactly, I believe, like 510 pages. 511, baby. Yeah, so that's over 500. I'm counting it. Shield of Sparrows is the book that will be rounding out our TBR. So let's do our little review. So that is one of the books. For our YA pick, we have Rebel Witch. For romance, yes, this was just a general romance prompt. We have Pole Position. Our next prompt after that, or I guess before that, I'm doing this in like reverse order. The other prompt that we got was first book we see on Goodreads. So with that one, we went with Meet Me at the Lake. The prompt we had before that was a book from our priority TBR. And with that prompt, I went with The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. From the title jar, we picked How to End a Love Story. Then we had the prompt of a good, fun title. So we went with Can't Spell Treason Without Tea. The stack is so tall. And then our very first prompt of the day was a book with a pink cover. So overall, here's our huge stack of 8 books for the month of June. I feel like this month is actually really great. I got 3 books that I'm super, super pumped about, like outside of, just like owning them. I've wanted to read Pole Position for, I believe I've had it for 2 months now. And Rebel Witch came out earlier this year, and I read the first book in that series. So that is the entire June TBR. Very looking forward to it. Comment. Oh my god, what should we comment? Comment your favorite color of the heart emoji. I personally am a pink heart girl, if you could not already tell, if that's not super obvious. I'm a pink heart girly, but I know there's room for everybody. Everyone can have their favorite variation of the heart. And yeah, I will keep you guys posted. Follow me on Instagram or Goodreads or Fable to kind of see more updates as the reading goes. I'm very excited for our other video that I'll be posting later this month. It'll be a little bit different for me, but I think it'll be good different. So I look forward to seeing you guys later, and have a good rest of your day. Bye. I feel like I say hi to people every single day. I'm wearing this dress that I got at Forever 21, RIP Forever 21. But because they don't have fitting rooms you can try stuff on at anymore, I bought a size too big and now I'm stressed about it. But it's so cute. Like, look at the flowy sleeves and it's so pretty. Okay, I'm just gonna live with it. I also hope that the mic can pick everything up. If I put it any lower, it dragged the dress down. And this is YouTube. I can't do that kind of stuff here. Bixby, I'm sorry, honey. I heard my dog running when I started clapping. Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna throw his toy. Go get him. Okay. Hopefully he'll entertain himself. Interesting. Is it not working again? Could you work for like 10 minutes, please? Okay, I don't think I'm asking too much of you. It was The Good Lie. It was The Good Lie by... I keep saying the funny. Am I saying the weird to you? Okay. The next book that I read was The Good Lie by A.L. Tor. Hi, Pippa. It's not even A.L. It's A.R. I know, I'm mad too. My cat's just screaming in the hallway. I don't know what she's talking about. Okay. The next book that I read was fucking shit. Was The Good Lie by A.R. Tor. I can't stop. Okay. Like, I feel that valid. I feel that valid. Alex. That's his name. I remember names sometimes. The last book that I picked up, where it'll be like, or not chapter, what are those called? Are those chapter breaks? Where it'll be like paragraph, 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 gap, new paragraph. That makes sense. Let me find one. Oh, ha 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 ha. Like this. Where like there's a whole chapter and then there's just like a really big gap where there's no words, and that's the new chapter. Makes sense? Or like new paragraph? That's the new paragraph? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Oh, I feel like I just like did like a knockoff Cher impersonation. Is mystery? No, murder. I should read the title. I should just read a title for once in my life. By Carly. I can read in the camera. She's also wearing pink hiking boots. I covered up the boot. That's cool. That's quirky. Wait a second. Oh, never mind. I thought this one was blurred by the guy or the girl who wrote this one, but it's not. That one really cool though. Okay. Also, I'm wondering, this one says that her girlfriend is on board. Yeah. So I think they're lesbians. Okay. Let me pull up. Why are you not recording anymore? Okay. I think I fixed whatever happened with the mic where she decided to stop doing her job. Let's see if the microphone wants to do its job now, since it's been literally replaced. It's a different one. One thing about me is I do know how to take a hint. So guess this is the hint we've been given. I'm pretty sure it even says in the little blurby blurb. No, never mind. The 7. That was a good burp. I'm trying to make a good thumbnail picture, if you can't tell. Maybe I should do it on this side. Oh. So I'm like hiding the mic a little bit. I don't want it to be like obvious. The Crimson Moth, I think is what it's called. All I remember is that there's two names for. Oh no, it's Rebel. No, Rebel Witch. Heartless Hunter. That's what we call it in America. Crimson Maw is what they call it in like the UK, I think. I'm still a little bit confused about why it's different, but I don't care because I read that in January and I've been wanting to pick up the sequel ever since. And now is finally a good time to.